All right, we'll bring the meeting to order. I mean, it appears we have a little more attention this meeting than we normally do, so you're gonna have to bear with us for the first few line items of what we're gonna take business. We're gonna open up. It's, I think we're short one House member. Pro Tem will not be with us today. Probably the first time the Senate's outnumbered the House in a while, so.
Does that mean we're going to get out?
Yeah. Consideration of approval of minutes. Everybody had a chance to look at that? I'd take a motion. Majority Leader Blasey makes the motion, second by Senator Sykes on the minutes. Discussion, changes. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Minutes are adopted. Consideration and authorization for additional interim committee meeting days. And this is Shirley's. Shirley, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have in your packet a letter for the Water Program Task Force with Senator Titus and Representative Minks asking for 10 days approved with travel during the 2025 interim. This was a group that was put in a bill, HB 2172.
Are you ready for the discussion, Shirley? Is that what we have? Sorry. Discussions, Speaker Hawkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we have the Water Program Task Force. We definitely need to do that. In addition, on the House side, we have a Government Oversight Committee that we have an issue we want to hear. So I'm going to ask for 2 days for the House Select Committee on Government Oversight. So my motion is to move that 2 additional meeting days be approved for the House Select Committee on Government Oversight and 4 days for the Water Program Task Force.
So I have a motion to approve 4 of the 10 days for the water and 2 seconded by Majority Leader Croft. Discussion. Is there discussion, Senator Schallenberger?
I was going to say, I sent a letter out to requesting.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So what we were dealing with in this meeting, because of so much on the agenda, is just any potential additional days to existing meetings. We will take up in the meeting in August, requests for new meeting. Senator Sykes.
Thank you. So the additional of 10 days, how many days originally did the Water Task Force have approved?
Shirley.
They had not requested days at the last LCC meeting because the chairs had not been announced yet. So this is their first letter.
For the discussion, questions? I have a motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 3, authorization for the preparation of legislative agency budgets. Back to Shirley.
Mr. Chair and committee, you have in front of you a memo directing the preparation of the legislative budgets. There's a number of bullets here. I'll go through them very quickly. The first couple of bullets are the standard meetings that the LCC will have in September and October for preparation and distribution of the budget summaries. And then it gets into the details of the salaries and wages and legislator expenses. So for fiscal year 2026, the budget submission would be based on current compensation rate of $43,000 annually adjusted. Based on calendar year 2024, preliminary data would be a salary adjustment of 4.4%, and this would increase base legislative compensation to $44,892 per year. The adjusted annual compensation would be effective January 1st of 26 through June 30th of 27. Legislators will continue to receive the 65.74% for their annual compensation between January and June. Legislature daily subsistence rate is still $178 per day. There is a bullet also there on step movement of cost of living would not be included in the budget summaries. Legislative leadership, legislative premium pay would be adjusted to reflect the new annual compensation rate. There's the standard language for longevity bonuses for those employed prior to June 15th of 2008. Fringe benefit adjustments are the same as what the executive branch has. And then the annual salary rate for the interim meetings is $180 per day. There's also a bullet there for adjustments on the legislative computerization project, and then the Office of the Reviser of Statutes for any printing of hardbound volumes of the Kansas statutes annotated.
Committee, other questions for Shirley? And this is just authorization for preparing the legislative budget. Seeing no questions, I have a motion to authorize. Motion by Majority Leader Blasey, second by Speaker Hawkins. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. No discussion regarding the annual reviews and agency head salary provisions of SB 125. This is just something we have become accustomed to having the subcommittee of LCC have conversations and reviews with the agency heads, and it'd probably be wise just to continue that process. Was there a comment? Speaker Hawkins.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion on this. I move the Subcommittee on Administration, which is made up of the Chairperson Masterson, Vice Chairperson Hawkins, and Senator Sykes, is authorized on behalf of the LCC to conduct annual reviews and determine any merit-based salary increases for legislative branch agency heads.
Questions or discussion? Is there a second? Second by Minority Leader Sykes. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 5, update on KLIS. This is a modernization project, and that's Tom.
Thank you, Mr. President. The KLIS Modernization Project Steering Committee has informed Propylon that the production deployment of the KLIS bill drafting system did not occur on June 30th, 2025 as planned, since there's some required functionality not yet ready. The steering committee will approve a production deployment only after the required functionality is available. This functionality includes conference committee reports, appropriations, and additional table functionality. A session-ready system will be deployed before October 1, 2025. The steering committee will develop a firm deadline with Propylon so that the KLIS bill drafting system will be put into production late summer with a legislative session-ready system deployed before October 1. The steering committee will provide monthly reports to the Legislative Coordinating Council as we continue to move forward. Mr. President, if it's permissible, I would like to yield the floor to Mr. Self for some additional comments.
Rise yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've been testing extensively, and by we, I mean Tom's IT people, the revisor's office, and some chamber. And we did not feel that the system was production ready on June 30, and we did not feel that it was appropriate to accept that system at that time because there was missing functionality. And we are working with Propylon to get a very tight schedule to get that functionality, and then additionally to work on the errors that are still in the system. Our goal is still, and I feel comfortable, our goal is still to have it ready for 2026, but we're pushing to have it production ready midsummer, and then let's say session ready by October 1, and we'll keep you advised if there's any changes to that schedule.
All right. There are questions for Gordon or Tom? Senator Blasey.
Thank you, Mr. President. This project and Propylon in general, I think, has gone on for several years since this was, I guess, executed in 2022. So it's been 3 years, and we're missing the deadline again. It seems like for years we've been battling this system and trying to get it upgraded. So I guess a few questions. One question is, how confident are we that we will have everything ready live to go October 1st of 2025? I mean, is the Propylon here by chance?
I believe, Senator Blasey, Mr. President, I believe we are confident of session ready October 1. Just the number of bugs that are still left in the system that everybody's been working through, testing through, finding more as we continue to test. You know, we fix some, and then when we get into a almost production type environment, others pop up, which we expect. I mean, you can't make everything the same as what a real session-like environment would be, but we're trying to get all of those in there.
And I appreciate that. This system is obviously crucial to the functionality of our state legislature. I mean, this system, if it doesn't work, can delay the process on the entire Senate floor. And so therefore, the Senate is waiting for a system to work and function properly. And I just know in the past, we've had some challenges and we've been able to work through those, but I just want to make sure that we have a program that is going to work and serve the legislature well in the upcoming session. So I know there are 50 states, and 50 states do have other programs and use other companies, and they seem to work very well. And some states have immediate processes where an amendment pops up instantly and you're able to see it right then and there. And so I'm just curious, as we continue down this path, just long term, do we have the most modern, up-to-date program and system for Kansas? That's all. Thank you.
So, and why do we have to have another 90 days out before we go live to October 1? Why can't we get a September 1 or even August 15? Because it feels like we wait to go live October 1. Then you got the Thanksgiving holidays, the Christmas holidays. I mean, that doesn't feel like hardly enough time to have a real live test. I don't know. Gordon, did you have more?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple things. One, I appreciate your comment, Senator Blasey. That's part of the reason that we didn't accept the production build on June 30, is we didn't feel we had made as much progress as we had hoped to, and the steering committee is serious in making sure that we get on schedule and have a system ready for 2026. Our recommendation is prior to October 1, but we would be glad to take with us, as we're working with Propylon to set up the timetable, we'd be glad to take with us that the LCC is anxious to have it sooner, much sooner than that, and we'll work on a schedule prior to that. I'm confident, but I will tell you, I won't take a system, into usage that isn't ready. I won't do that. And I know part of the thing that everyone cares about is being fast and being speedy and all that, but as a reviser, my first concern is accuracy. So the system, as we're transitioning over from the current system to the new system, I have to be assured as reviser that it is accurate. I'm optimistic, but I'm also realistic. So I'll believe it and report it to you when I see it. And if I don't see it, I'll tell you I don't see it. And then if we don't get what we need in a timely fashion, we'll be back here to discuss other alternatives.
Senator Sykes, you had a question?
Maybe just a comment. I've seen this process for the last 5 years, and we keep hitting the ball down the field. Last year, it was supposed to go live in October, and then I know that caused issues with us getting our bills that are pre-filed out. And our May 8th meeting, that was a question of, are we sure that this is going to be happening on June 30th? And I was assured. So I think we need to get, the LCC needs to get more up-to-date records on a monthly or biweekly basis to know what's going on, because we keep just punting this and not knowing. And again, I think as Senator Blasey said, there are states that have things that are, active on your laptop when you have amendments and it's showing that. And I think we do need to move forward, but I don't think we're getting what we need from them. So I would like more regular updates on what's going on and how that process is going, what the bugs are, and how they are trying to remedy those.
Gordon?
Not making any excuses. Our system is more complicated than any system that our vendor works on. It is arguably the most complicated bill drafting system you know, in the country, and it has to do with the myriad of changes that we show along the way. So that's number one. I think 3 years was ambitious, and so not hitting that goal was obviously a concern to the steering committee, but acceptable. 4 years is reasonable. 4 years is, you know, where we draw the line. So that is the steering committee's goal. And then this sentiment from you is helpful as we move forward with Propylon.
Representative Croft.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Built into this process between now and October, is there a test that's built into the system to go through, and I mean where you bring other people in to help you with the 60-plus amendments you get on one bill to help accuracy or anything like that?
Gordon.
And I'll let Tom speak as well. We are testing the system, and we test it vigorously, both at the level of the Propylon tests, the IT tests, and then the revisor's office. I got 20-some folks that have been testing, and we test it rigorously, and we know what we have so far. And so that's part of the reason we're here. The first time we implemented this system, I'm not sure that we were good testers, and my office wasn't involved in the testing, and so we didn't necessarily know what we had when we went live. Now we do, so we know the condition. Have we tested for 60 floor amendments hitting at once? No, we haven't progressed to that point.
Better not get 60 floor amendments. Yeah, Speaker Hawkins.
Isn't it the Senate that had 60 amendments? Yeah. We never get that many in the House. A little fun. You know, my frustration is not with our steering committee. It's not with the people who are here trying to make sure we get the best product, because I know that our folks are doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. My frustration is the ever-ready bunny called Propylon. It just keeps going and going and going. And when does it stop? And that's the question. I hope that we get to January 1 and we're able to go live. But right now, it wouldn't surprise me at all if we got to January 1 and we don't go live, simply because Propylon doesn't seem to deliver on their promises, certainly. I go back to 21 and 22. The Speaker Pro Tem at that time really went after Propylon, trying to get him to perform, and he worked and worked and worked. He was always checking on that stuff, and we're still dealing with the same thing today. So, we're so far into it that we got to keep going, but I guess we'll just go along with the ever-ready bunny, and hopefully that ever-ready bunny will stop here one of these days and get it finished.
All right, that felt more like a comment than a question, so no one else seeking recognition. We're going to move on. Update on legislative SETO. Tom.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just wanted to update the commission or the council on the legislative SETO position. I have reposted that position. It is now out on the internet for the state. It has been reposted. It will close on July 25, and we will keep you updated after July 25 and the closing has occurred.
Any questions for Tom on that? This might have been the right meeting for that. We're looking for a good SETO. Anybody that's looking for one or has one in mind. All right, no questions, we'll move on. Consideration of upgrades to House voting boards and member voting consoles. Back to Tom.
Thank you, Mr. President. The current voting consoles at member desks and the associated control systems were installed by International Roll Call in 2008. Software and display boards installed at the same time have been recently upgraded, but the voting consoles, cabling, and control equipment are original equipment from 2008. In the last several years, there have been several issues and failures that indicate the equipment has become outdated and should be replaced to ensure the reliability and stability of the system. International Roll Call will replace the existing voting system control equipment. Member voting consoles with the addition of a headphone jack and volume control will be installed. The new panels are customized to the Kansas Chamber and will fit in the existing enclosures that are currently on the members' desks. The current cabling to each member's desk will be removed and replaced. The new cables will be placed in existing conduits under the floor of the House chamber. D.L. Smith is the vendor for the cabling replacement, and this is the same contractor that was used in 2008. And they still do have staff on board that did the original replacement of the cabling. So that will help us along the way. The total projected cost for the project is just under $500,000, split about half for the new voting control equipment and member consoles, and half for the removal and installation of new cabling. If authorized today, the project is anticipated to begin in August and last 9 to 11 weeks. And then we will continue and finalize testing as soon as the cabling and the consoles are installed. With that, Mr. Chairman, I would stand for, or Mr. President, I would stand for questions.
Questions for Tom? Representative Croft.
Hey, sir, you mentioned about the hearing, but is there some for those that maybe have trouble seeing the board? I know they're big, but there are some people that may still have some issues. Is that built into the process?
The voting board itself is not part of this, what we have requested from International Roll Call. I know that the House Chief Clerk has been very involved in this, as well as our Director of Technical Services in IT, and they have been in contact with IRC. But that's one of the things that we can work with IRC to check to see if there's anything we can do. There are some names on that board that have to be cut down in font size because of the length of their names. And as long as the actuators come out and are able to turn into the chamber, that does help some, but I do understand, you know, especially for those members that sit pretty much right under the boards, it is more difficult to see than those that are sitting a little further out.
Representative Woodard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't know, Tom, if it's part of this project scope, but I know there's several states surrounding us that the members are able to see. Obviously, we've run into issues of people screenshotting, but they're able to see voting boards on their state devices as well. Something to consider going forward.
Tom.
That, because of rules, and I don't know where all that would stand. Because of certain rules that are in the House rules, as far as the photographic of the voting boards and that kind of stuff, it would all depend on how that's interpreted by our legal counsel and whether that is a possibility to put those available on laptops. Now, there is only one camera in the House chamber, and it is directed right at the speakers, the rostrum, the podium. But, you know, that is an opportunity to possibly put in more cameras. But again, the House rules of shooting that board would have to be looked at.
Thank you.
I feel like I should add the Senate's voting system has been free for 164 years. Speaker Hawkins.
It would be very difficult for us to go back to paper in the House. Mr. President, I move that the Legislative Coordinating Council approve replacing the House Chamber's existing voting system control equipment and member voting consoles and running new cables to each member's desk.
It's a motion, second by Majority Leader Croft. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Consideration of bill tracking service subscription extension. This one, I just know we've gone past our deadline. We have the same issues with this as we have on some up-and-coming issues about deadlines in June 30. And the Senate does use the system to stop a breach in service or break in service. We're probably looking for a minimum extension. Is there conversations on this one? Speaker Hawkins?
Mr. Speaker, or Mr. President, I would say that at this time would probably be a good idea just to extend it a year. And I make that motion. I'll move to extend the current bill tracking service subscription with CanFocus to July 1 of 2025.
That a motion, is there a second?
2026.
Is there a second? Second by Senator Sykes. Discussion. Senator Blasey.
Thank you, Mr. President. I thought the original proposal was maybe just a 3-month extension, but I have concerns, I think, long-term with just ensuring that we have, once again, I stated earlier, there's 50 states with different models that are more modern, that are used with apps and other modern tracking devices. I know the legislature's looked at stuff in the past. We have the new communications for constituent tracking with ks.gov. So there's some good steps I think we've taken on several fronts, but I think this is one area that maybe we should continue to explore without giving another long blanket extension. I guess my question would be is what's our goal after June 30 of 2026? Are we going to extend again, or are we exploring other options just to see what other states are doing, or what's the long-term plan?
Speaker Hawkins.
So, thank you, Senator. I can tell you 3 months probably isn't long enough. So if you just extend for 3 months, we're probably going to extend again at that time. We're in the summer months. Getting some of those things done is probably a little bit more difficult. I think in this case, we literally have had this before us since June of last year. We did go through an RFP process. I can tell you from the RFP that the closest one was at least double more expensive than what CanFocus is. It may have actually been more than that. I can't remember exactly. It's been a while. And I'm not sure that we really wanted to go that direction with that big of a cost. So, let's have the discussion. If we want to do something different, I'm certainly amicable to listen. I just think at this point in time, extending it for a year would probably be the best thing to do.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, motion is second on the table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. No. Motion carries. Number 9, briefing by Kansas Highway Patrol regarding the Capitol Police. Superintendent Smith, and there you are. Welcome to the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chair, members of the committee. I'm aware that the cameras behind me are not here for me, so I'm going to make this quick and I'm going to step away. I spoke with many of you individually. I think the only ones that I've missed are Senator Schallenberger and Representative Carpenter. So I've discussed briefly why I'm here today. Kansas Statute 74-2105 requires the superintendent of the Highway Patrol to, quote, in the supervision and management of the duties of the Capitol Police, the superintendent shall advise with the Legislative Coordinating Council. So I'm here today to talk about one change to the Capitol Police that I think will benefit both the Capitol Police and the Kansas Highway Patrol at large significantly in the years to come. Today marks the second anniversary of me being the superintendent of the Highway Patrol, and in the last 2 years, we've made significant strides in the modernization, the realignment, and really a rededication to the professional quality services that the patrol provides to the state. The Capitol Police is unique in the sense that this body and the members of both chambers are the primary constituent, the primary client, the primary user of services provided by the Capitol Police. Within the Highway Patrol, there are 3 classifications of law enforcement officers. There are motor carrier inspectors, Capitol Police officers, and state troopers. State troopers are more than 80% of our sworn ranks. What's not different is the hiring standards, the training standards, and the pay. Several years back, the legislature brought pay parity to the Capitol Police and to the motor carrier inspectors such that we hire and train at the same rate. The promotions and the matriculation through the career progression plan happens at the same rate. What is different, though, is some recruiting challenges that we face. Because of all of the things that are the same, when we recruit and try to hire a Capitol Police officer, they suddenly realize that what they're about to enter is the same career path and the same pay plan as a state trooper, and they want to be state troopers instead. So this eliminates that disparity. There's also a unilateral direction for promotion throughout the Highway Patrol. And so if you're in the Capitol Police and you want to bid for a spot in the patrol, if you have the academy background, the law enforcement certification background, you can bid for a spot in the patrol and you can transfer out to be a state trooper. The opposite is not true. You cannot transfer, you spend 15, 20 years here in Topeka or Shawnee County and you want to spend the last 5 years assigned to this building or assigned to one of the 3 shifts patrolling the Capitol complex. You can't do that. There's no provision for that. So again, just to recap, the hiring standards are the same, statewide jurisdiction is the same, the training at the academy is the same, and the compensation is also the same. What we're seeking to do by reclassifying, and again, I want to emphasize, what I'm proposing to do is simply an HR reclassification. This is to eliminate the classification of law enforcement officer, which is recognized by the Department of Administration differently than a state trooper. I'm seeking to reclassify. There are currently about 30 of those amongst 533 sworn positions. There are about 30 that are classified as law enforcement officer. We're proposing to reclassify those as state troopers. This will address matters such as morale, consistent discipline, consistent recruitment, consistent retention. And I think just to summarize what I've said both here today and in previous discussions, this would benefit the patrol today and for years to come. So with that, I'll pause my comments and stand for questions.
Questions for the Colonel? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
I want to say, seeing nothing further on my agenda, no, we're not. I mean, yeah, it's time to go. Obviously, we have one last thing to deal with. It's consideration of an extension on the authority for the Star Bonds districts as it pertains to professional sports teams. With this opportunity, probably take a little bit of a time to, because there was some misinformation just kind of out in the ether. I think they're doing a pretty good job. I mean, whether the extension is granted by this body, according to this statute, the choice is legally 1 year or not at all. That's just the statute. But this body can, for lack of a better term, set an arbitrary deadline on dealing with it, which is what we may have some discussion around. It really came down to the point at the end, a lot of people thought, well, the teams just had to make a decision. The difference is those decisions would have to develop into structural plans that would come before this body to be reviewed and voted on, and there needed to be time for that as well. So we had a long-standing comment there. What we weren't interested in being upon and extending for no reason at all. The sense was as long as there's legitimate, real conversations about the possibility of that relationship, that we could move forward and we could have that discussion. So with that, I will open for discussion on extension. Speaker Hawkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we have had this law out there for a year now, and each team has had a year to come to some type of conclusion in the process, and neither team has. And quite frankly, for the last month and a half, I've been very consistent across the board in saying, let's get it done. We don't need to extend this. Let's just get it done. I've certainly talked to the Commerce Department about that. I've talked to the lobbyists for the teams. I've even talked to some folks in the teams and said, get her done. Let's not mess around with this. You know what you're doing. Well, sometimes you don't know everything. Sometimes you find out things that really kind of take you back. For instance, when you find out that the one of the teams went from November to February without ever getting a response from the administration, from the Department of Commerce. Or when you find out that they've turned in a proposal and for 7 weeks, the administration did not respond to that proposal until such time as the Senate President sent out a letter, and then all of a sudden that could be responded to in a very quick manner. Well, that's not fair to the teams. Doesn't matter what team it was, but that's just not fair to the teams when they're making proposals and they're not getting responses back. And although I don't like having to extend, this statute for this, I feel in fairness to the teams that it's incumbent on us to make sure that we do things that are fair and above board. And finding out that further information certainly has changed my opinion to the fact that I believe that we do need to extend. I do think that in that extension basically extends a statute out to 2026. But as part of my motion here in a little bit, I want this done by December 31, 2025. I want there to be nothing hanging out there when we come into session. We don't need to be worried about this during session. It needs to be done. It needs to be finished. And so I will wait to make a motion until others have had a chance to talk. Thank you, Mr. President.
Further comments or discussion, Senator Sykes.
Thank you. This may be a question for Gordon, but in the legislation that was passed, we had until June 30th. Is that for this body to approve the agreement or the deal? Does that have to have happened? Or so if there's an extension for another year, does this body have to vote on the STAR bonds by that date? And then if the motion that the speaker is making, would that then be in effect for December 31st? Or is that for them to present something to this body?
Well, I'm not going to, at this point, I'm not going to do conjecture on the motion until I've heard it, but the statute provided there was a deadline of June 30, 2025. But the statute also had a provision that said that the LCC at the next meeting after June 30 could extend the deadline for a year at that point.
So my question is, was that for negotiations for the Department of Commerce with the teams to negotiate a package that then they would bring to us, or does this body have to approve that package by that deadline?
I have Jason Long here, and he has the statutory language in front, but it was to provide extra time for the Secretary of Commerce to pursue a deal and bring that deal here to the LCC for approval. But I'll let Jason, he has the exact statutory language.
Jason.
Yes, Mr. President, Jason Long with the Office of Revisor Statutes. The law that was passed last year does, as Mr. Self indicated, allow for the Secretary to bring a proposal on an agreement or approval of a district to the LCC, but the statute still requires that to be reviewed and approved by an affirmative vote of the Legislative Coordinating Council.
Senator Sykes.
So Jason, then does that approval have to be within that time frame of if we extend it, so we would have a year to approve that, or is the approval after the fact?
I believe the extension of 1 year applies both to the Secretary bringing the agreement and to the LCC's approval of that agreement to go into effect.
Further question or comment? Speaker Hawkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do think, though, that we, as the LCC, can say that it has to be done, even though the statute is out there until June 30th of 26. As the LCC, we could say that we are not going to accept anything after December 31, that it has to be done by then.
Further question or comments? Senator Schallenberger.
Thank you, Mr. President. In the real world, when I was younger, I was a banker, and putting a deal like this together is not easy. You have landowners that look at the deadlines that we put out and use that as leverage. You have the teams that look at the deadlines we put out and use that as leverage. And if we have to get a deal done, land contract signed, STAR bonds area signed, approved by the LCC by this December seems a little quick to me. I know they've already had a year, but these are very complicated things to do. So I would encourage that we give them a little longer, but we'll see how that goes.
Further question or comments? Speaker Hawkins.
Mr. President, I'm going to make two motions. First, I'm going to move to extend the authority of the Secretary of Commerce to negotiate an agreement with one or more major professional sports franchise or to pursue a major professional sports franchise star bond district and project with a city or county for the purpose of establishing a major professional sports franchise star bond district and project or projects for a major professional sports complex. The extension of authority is contingent on the Secretary of Commerce bringing any such proposed agreement to this committee for approval prior to January 1, 2026.
Seconded by Representative Woodard. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, all's in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Speaker Hawkins, you had something else?
The second motion is pursuant to KSA 1217-181B that the statute be extended to June 30th, 2026.
Had a motion, is there a second? Second by, I'm gonna go with Majority Leader Sykes. Minority Leader, yeah. You got a long ways to go to get there. So, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. We are at the end of the agenda and we are adjourned.